You have to record to the clap.
You look like you have a
Okay.
tan.
A tan? Oh, no,
Yeah.
I wish. I just got done teaching soccer, so my face is probably just beet red
Okay,
from being
yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
So here we go. Okay. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Westborough Recreation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with the right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.town.westborough.ma.us. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen, watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. A recording of this meeting will be posted on westboroughrec.com. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Recreation website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right, so we can approve minutes virtually by taking a vote. We can wait for Earl to get here though, maybe for that. So maybe we'll skip that for now and just go into a program update. And then when he gets here, we can vote. So we've been moving along pretty successfully with a lot of programs. Everything is outside or virtual. Like I said, we started kitty kickers tonight. We've done tennis in the parks, which has been going well. That was a really popular program. We've done outdoor basketball skills clinics. That's wrapping up in the next couple of weeks. So again, we've just been pretty creative, and we've done a lot of work to try to offer what we can. Moving into the winter, we had a pretty successful meeting with Amber today about gym space. She's on our side to get us into the gyms. Probably, well, Colleen, for rec basketball, we can talk offline about.
The lady ballers are recreational, Jen.
Right. We didn't even actually talk about adult. Actually, that's a good thought. But for rec basketball, she wants to help us get into the gyms. We're looking at we are looking at a start after the new year. Because the schools are, hi, Earl just got here. The schools are taking a 2-week quarantine after Thanksgiving break, and then they're taking a 2-week quarantine after Christmas. So we felt like it would be better if we just start in January and run a season January to March or something like that. It's definitely not going to be a typical rec basketball season. We don't have all the kinks ironed out right now, but we'll have to play as it stands right now in cohorts. So, team A practices this night and they can only play against and with each other. Team B practices this night and they can only play with and against each other. So it'll be different. It'll be a learning curve, but we're hopeful that parents and players and everyone involved will just bear with us as we kind of navigate what rec basketball will look like this winter.
So great.
I bet they will, Jen.
I'm hopeful. Stephen, I don't know if you want to get into any of it. Stephen's been working on some preliminary plans. Like I said, we're still kind of ironed on. None of this is set in stone yet. Because this is all pending to Amber has to go in front of her school committee and the Board of Health, and the Board of Health could say no, or if Westborough goes into the red or cases get crazy. So all of it is subject to all of that. But like I said, Stephen, I don't know if you want to touch on just kind of the outline of what we were thinking.
Yeah, so I can try to say some of it. So basically, the key would be that we're probably going to assign teams more. There wouldn't be any drafts. Coaches wouldn't be able to pick their practice times. Basically trying to keep people with kids that they go to school or would be in the same school with. So third grade boys would be split up into a Hastings, Armstrong, and Fales team, basically just to try to keep there being, I guess, no cross contamination between schools or anything like that. Ideally, we would have them practice in the school that they go to, but that gets trickier when it comes to the high school, because if their school teams, they're probably not going to let us in for practices. So basically just trying to assign people to teams, keep it as limited as possible. It'd be 10 people on a team, a coach and assistant coach. And if we can, at some point the guideline restricts, then maybe let there be some scrimmaging in between teams. But I would not be planning on, I guess, having a full game where we're having a ref, a scorekeeper, all of the parents on the sidelines. That sort of rec basketball game, I just can't see.
That's how my friend is planning to run, if he can, a league that he does in Worcester, which is draft a team, they practice, and then that weekend they play each other, right? And you can mix up the teams every week, but it's just a group of 10 that will stay together for 8 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever.
Yeah. And then for high school, in order to have it be some competition, I just mentioned this to Jen briefly, we would probably split it up by grade there. I know that it's been popular, that it's been kind of a way for freshmen to get more comfortable talking with upperclassmen and stuff like that. But if we're going to limit it to the same 10 people for a season that you're kind of scrimmaging with, I feel like having it be either like juniors and seniors maybe, or by grade would just make those practices more competitive, more, I guess, more competitive, more fun. And it just might, having a team of only some of your like best friends, to me seems like it might take away some of the sting about not being able to have a rec basketball season with playoffs and a championship and something like that for the high school kids to take it seriously.
Great. Thanks, Stephen.
Great ideas. Great
Yeah.
ideas.
So we'll see. So that was a good meeting today with Amber. And our other bigger winter program, skiing. I don't know, Adam, do you have anything to say? I don't know where, if they've gotten back to you or what, but.
So it's still kind of up in the air. Wachusett hasn't given us any indication if they're going to run or not. They sent out a survey to all the people who've run programs with them, kind of getting a gauge of what they're going to do. If we did run something, it's going to be, half as big as we did. Typically we have 70 to 80 kids. We'll probably cut it to 30 to 35, if that, just to make sure that we are staying in line with the schools and their bus procedures. So, having one kid on each row and stuff like that. So I don't have much other than that, but once I hear from Wachusett, I'll make sure to let everyone know. I'm hopeful that we can run it. But again, it just comes down to if Wachusett will even take us. The lodge, for those that have never been during a weekday in the winter, it's an absolute crazy time with all the kids. So I can only imagine how they're trying to figure out what they can do to make it work. So fingers crossed. So
I can speak to that somewhat just because my dad is a season ticket holder. I think the thing that they've sent out is that they're closing the lodge. You'd have to get ready in your car, and you wouldn't be able to, like, all the kids who get food and stuff like that. I'm not sure how we would go about with, I don't know if they're going to have bathrooms or anything like that. But I think they're planning on closing the lodge completely. Even
the buses are kind of tough, right?
And even with the buses, because they can't park in the actual parking lot.
Right. So that's, if that's what comes down, we might have to either get creative or potentially just not run this year. But said fingers crossed, hopefully everything works out, and maybe they're just giving that information to season pass holders and they're going to open the lodge for kids. I don't know, but we'll see. But I will keep everybody in the loop once I have more information. So.
And then just this month too, we're doing we've done a scarecrow program. So we reached out to everybody in town, encouraged them to build a scarecrow, and then place them at various businesses in town. So we had about 20 businesses participate and about 30 families. So now we're in the voting period. So we're encouraging everybody to get out to visit these businesses to vote for scarecrows. was a little idea to just kind of bring some joy to people in town, but also to try to help some of the smaller businesses in town to get people visiting, like, you know, Yummy Mummy or Red Heat. So there's been some traction on Facebook. People seem to like it. There's some kinks, and hopefully next year when we do it, you know, it'll get better every year. We're also hosting a virtual Halloween 5K. So it can be totally free if you don't want a t-shirt or a medal. If you do want a t-shirt or a medal, you do have to pay for it. But we're just encouraging people to sign up and then run, you know, a 5K, 3.1 miles, or walk in Westborough any day during October. So a couple of fun Halloween type things.
Jen, is the turkey trot happening?
I think so. I think I just saw that come out. They have a funny name, a cute name for it. I can't think of it, but I did just see that on Facebook. And then we have a couple of other little smaller Halloween things because we're not doing our annual Halloween program, you know, party at Gibbons this year. So we have a couple of other ideas that'll come out on Facebook. And we're also going to start talking about the holiday stroll, but what that's going to look like, because again, the tree lighting and having people gather downtown is not going to be allowed. But we're hoping to do something, so we'll keep you updated on that. And Adam, I don't know if you want to talk about tennis in the park, because I should have let you do that earlier. I just was reading some notes here, but Adam runs tennis in the park, so he can just fill us in.
Yeah, so the U.S. Tennis Association reached out to us. I guess they have an office in Westborough about offering tennis. We have typically offered indoor tennis with Westborough Tennis and Swim, but they've kind of been up in the air, obviously with COVID regulations. So we started it 2 weeks ago. It was crazy popular, huge wait list. I think it was good to get people outside, and it was pretty good the first week. I'm hopeful that the weather cooperates. Tomorrow is not looking good. It's on every Wednesday at Haskell. So I'm hopeful that we can finish the session, but it's been really good. The kids have been great. Parents are super thankful that they can still do stuff outside. So yeah, it's been really good. So
Thanks. All right.
I saw it last week. It was looking good.
So the next item is facilities. So Earl is here. I don't know if you have any general statements about our facilities, but I want to talk about potentially renting out facilities that we don't usually rent out, like the basketball courts, the outdoor courts, and the tennis pickleball courts. So as you know, we rent our fields to Little League, youth soccer, men's softball for a fee. Somebody from travel basketball approached me about potentially renting the outdoor basketball courts at Rogers and Haskell for practices or preseason stuff, because they weren't sure if they were going to be able to get into a school. So, well, we've never done that before, so kind of bringing it to the commission for discussion on what your feelings are on that. Any thoughts? I will say, I don't know how long they'll be able to be out there because they're going to lose the light. I mean, what time is it now? 6:20. I guess it's still relatively light out, but it's just only going to get darker. So I don't know how much they'll get out of it, but I didn't think it was a bad idea, considering we do maintain those courts and we get no revenue from them. They're just free public spaces. So when we have to, fix the cracks at Haskell or repaint Haskell, that's coming just kind of out of our revolving account. I'm not saying this is going to be some huge moneymaker at all, but it would be a way to kind of generate some revenue in a year where we're not making anything. Right.
What did Earl say?
Oh, the lights will be, oh. There's lights at Haskell, but go ahead, Beth.
My first thought is that we have to try and get kids to do as much as we can. And if it means using our courts, using things that we're not using, I think it's a great idea. And especially since we need the revenue. And if these clubs are willing to, rent them, and we, get kids out playing, I think we should do it. I mean, that's just my first thought. I haven't thought of any other downside. So,
These are Westborough kids, Jen, right? To be
Yeah, it was Westborough Travel that approached me. So they're all, travel is all Westborough. It'd be similar to like Little League or youth soccer.
Yep. Jen, the only thing I would be concerned about is, since we've never done this before, if there's a group of kids down there playing when practice starts, I don't know how that would go down.
Yeah, and I was there today, and there was a group of high school kids that were there playing. So this issue, we were just talking about it in the office today. I kind of wanted to get your feedback, and then I would go back to the town manager just because this, I wonder if this comes up as when we tried to close the beach for the wedding last year, the year before, that we're closing a public space for private use. But again, we use our field, we do the exact same thing with our field. So I don't know why this would be different, but I know she'll ask, what did your commission say? So I wanted to kind of get a sense of what people thought, good or bad.
I was just thinking,
go ahead.
if it makes sense, Haskell's got 2 courts. You can leave one open to the public and have the other one for practice. I don't know if that's feasible.
Yeah, I mean, Rogers is a perfectly fine basketball court. I know there's no lights up there, but they could use Rogers, and no one goes up there. Haskell's definitely used.
Yeah, just in a month's time, Rogers will be, you
Yeah.
can't use it after 4:45, right?
Yeah.
Jen, do you know if those kids that were practicing are like Westborough High School kids, or were
I
they?
couldn't get a sense. They looked like high school kids. They did.
It might not be a bad idea to reach out to the coach and find out if they're trying to get some practice time in.
Yeah.
And maybe we could work something out with them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just, we obviously wouldn't charge, but say, all right, if you plan to be there Tuesday nights, then Tuesday nights is off limits.
Right.
That's a good idea.
There are kids there most nights playing, I would say. And I like the idea of, I mean, not every night, I'm not like there every night checking it, but, leaving one court open, giving them one court. They could have 2 teams practice each on a half, right? Like, so it's outside, the numbers kind of change, which is a good thing for them. I think WIBA is really looking for space to get kids doing things outside that they can before it gets too cold and too dark.
What do you think?
I like it.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
I like it.
Okay. Do we could vote, or someone want to make a motion, or?
We're gonna come up with a price, so how are we gonna?
So yeah, so we would have to figure out a price. So maybe we could vote after, well, they're gonna want an answer.
Well, what do you usually, I mean, why don't we come up with a price and so we could let them know? I'd love to see kids get out as much as possible and practice.
I
When we
don't
try the fields.
know if I don't even know if they know how much they want. Typically our prices are based on how much use, but we could do, I mean, whatever we think is fair, maybe per night.
That's how it has to be per night.
Per night.
You know.
Just say.
What would you think, Jen? What would be like a fair, reasonable? Because I have no idea what we charge anybody for that stuff.
I'm just trying to think.
Let's go, Jacqueline.
That's awesome. So I'm just $750 for Little League, and they're out there. I mean,
For the whole season, right?
the whole season.
3 months, 2 months,
Yes. So,
$250 a month, 7 nights for,
so it's like $250 a month divided by 7. I mean, it's $35 a night, roughly. And I was thinking, I swear, I was thinking $40 for the night, and you can go out there from 4 to whenever, really. No one's coming in after,
I mean,
I
that
don't know
seems
what they charge over. I don't know what, I mean, it's cheaper. I don't want to say cheaper than the schools, but cheaper. I don't know what they pay over at Fay. I'm sure it's at a private gym. It might be more. It's probably more.
Yeah, I think when I was doing that, which was many years ago, we were paying $80 to rent out. I don't know for how much, maybe it was for 6 weeks or something, $80 per time at Teamworks or someplace like that.
Yeah, it was like, for when I was looking at something, it was like 120 or something like that per time slot.
Yeah.
At private places, so it would be way cheaper.
We did
Yeah, I
40
think
per night.
And they're a nonprofit too.
Yeah.
And
And I
it's
was gonna
outside.
say-
It's outside. It's not inside. So I think we should, I think 40 is reasonable. If they want to, and I think that's not bad at all.
Because even if they're, I mean,
Is that per court? Would that be per court?
so I think they're saying to just, it would only be one court over at Haskell, leave the other court open for public.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it'd just be $40 and yeah, so $40 a night for the full court, and they could have 2 teams come.
Mm.
So that's still reasonable. Because I don't think that they are looking for it 7 days a week. Because then that would turn into, but then again, it would be just what Little League pays, because that's what we based it off. So yeah, I think maybe $40 a night. For Haskell, for one court at Haskell. I'm fine with that. I don't know.
You want to make a motion, Beth?
Sure. I move that we rent out our basketball courts that we can rent out to travel teams for $40 per night, for as long as they want to use them. I would say until the season's over, because if we end up having a fall that, there's no snow, or there's, I mean, they could go into December if we don't have a lot of snow or a lot of cold.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
until season's over,
Yep.
I mean, because it's not going to get used otherwise.
Right.
So you'd say $40 a night as long as the season would allow
Yes.
it, the weather would allow it.
Yeah. Along as season and the weather, because they can't play on it if there's ice, obviously.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
You have any more discussion?
Nope.
Let's have a roll call vote.
Colleen Dowd, yes.
That's Travis, yes.
Brian Kane, yes.
Earl, yes.
Great. That'll be good. Awesome. All right. The next item up is still facility rentals. The Lyman Street pickleball courts are used all of the time, morning, noon, and night. There's a group that wants to use the courts for a couple of hours privately and charge people money to play, but use that money for part of the fees that they collect, they want to use to give back towards us to kind of fund the Nelson Ball pickleball account. So I know a lot of people want a pavilion down there. There's a very motivated person that wants to do this. So I wanted to get your feedback on that. And I think that it's going to start, if she does this, and people are going to want to start to do this more. We've never rented pickleball courts or tennis courts out before, because we've just felt that it's supposed to be free public spaces for everybody. So again, just wanted to get your opinion on if you think it's a, kind of precedent setting rabbit hole. If we do it for one person, then we're going to be full of requests for everybody else, or if you think, why not? So again, goes back to tennis courts. We do all the upkeep. well, Earl does. And we pay for all any damages, if there's a damage to the fence or to the court, we pay for it out of the revolving account. So again, it is a way to make a little bit of revenue. But again, the pickleball courts, especially, a lot of seniors play. And if we all of a sudden start charging, or if they're getting shut out of play because people are monopolizing the courts or what have you, I just think it could make some people not happy.
Let me just put this, there's not a lot of maintenance to a tennis court until it needs it, painted and cracks fixed and stuff. We just did Haskell, and it was what, 15,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15,000. So it's expensive when it happens. I mean, you probably go 4 years or 5 years and you don't have to do a thing to it, just that's it. Maintain the nets and that's it. There's no maintenance to speak of, and blow them off. But when it needs work, it costs a lot of money, and minimum of 15,000 to paint them and fix the cracks. So,
Well, can I ask a question? Okay, so I'm not really that familiar with pickleball, but so when a team plays, they use all the courts at one time?
The courts are packed. But we could, just like how you were saying with Haskell, designate one court as our rental court, and that if people want to rent it out, this is the fee, and what have you, because there's 8 down there that are always used.
so you
Okay,
would,
but this group is different though, right? This group wants to.
This group wants all of the courts. They want to cap it at 50 people, charge people like $10 to get in to play. And it was kind of explained to me, it's kind of an end of the year celebration with the people that normally play in this group.
Okay.
And then give us, they plan to make a small donation to us at the end.
I'm sorry, what is the rest of the money going towards?
Pizza and prizes.
I mean, basically they're just looking to have they want access to the courts, right? Like they just want.
And I should have said, it's Nelson's kind of group which has grown to almost 50. So
that's different.
Well, it wasn't him that asked. It was this other woman that's kind of part of it. But Nelson will be there, and he was like, "Yeah, it'll be fine." It's just this one woman who is now kind of the most vocal.
But
when I hear that more, I would rather us consider whether or not we would make an accommodation to allow this group, one-time special use of the court, and by that meaning the ability to kick other people off when they got there. Maybe you'd put notice up in advance.
Yeah.
Where he gets a big donation.
Right. And that might be a good way to do this too, is that for the pickleball or tennis courts, people want to privately rent them. It'll be a one-off. They'll have to come, or I'll come to you and ask, and then we can just all kind of decide. Or you guys can decide, really.
Yeah.
So for this one, it is, the woman's name is Marie. She wants to have, a 50-person max pickleball party for a couple of hours on Halloween on October 31st. And she'll charge $10 at the door. And then she does plan to donate whatever's left over to the Nelson Ball Fund.
Oh.
And most of the people playing are part of Nelson's core group, so they'll kind of have a heads up about it. They'll know they'll have to pay in advance. Those are the details.
I guess I have one really.
Yeah.
Oh.
And a great bunch of women and guys. They're awesome. They're just nice people, and a lot of them come from the new Del Webb project, and they live up there. And so pretty interesting, very busy.
And if you're thinking about COVID with this, 50 is the max allowed in a space outside. And they are all supposed to be wearing masks. They know that, and socially distancing. They don't share equipment. They're aware, and I can remind them of those rules, and I can double check that 50 is still the number outside.
Jen,
Yes.
I had one question. First of all, I think this is a great idea. I mean, they've helped pay for this. They should absolutely be able to do something like this. But I know with like men's softball and Little League, we really look at town residents using it. I mean, how many out of towners do they have? Is it an issue? And if it's not, I'm good with it.
I think for this, it won't be an issue, but especially next spring and moving forward, there have been a couple of people that have come up, emailed and asked, I'm trying to get on the courts. There's a lot of towners playing. There should be a sign-up policy where you have to sign up and be a Westborough resident. I think we can get through the fall without dealing with it, but that's definitely going to be something that we talk about early next spring. We put the big scary signs up that say Westborough residents only, please take notice, but I still think people are having a hard time getting on the courts because out-of-towners are coming. And I've heard from other rec departments too that people talk about Westborough pickleball courts and want them in their towns. So I know that people are coming.
So, and one of the reasons is I know when I first got on the board, Westborough softball, men's softball, had asked about having an out-of-town team. We kind of said that we would rather not do that. I just hate for them to find out that we're letting out-of-town residents come and play pickleball from wherever. And
yeah, I can find out. I think for this event, it's going to be all Westborough residents. It's more so on other times when people from Northborough, Shrewsbury are coming, but we don't really have as much control.
No, we can't control that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think we should not rent to out-of-towners, but I think this I agree with you. This group, they've done. It wouldn't have happened without them.
Let me say this. I know that there's out-of-towners in Nelson's group.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, Earl. I'm saying we shouldn't rent to an out-of-town group, but this group is different.
Right. Okay, I got you, Beth. Yes.
So I would agree with that too, Earl. There's out-of-towners that play Westborough men's softball. We allow a few out-of-towners as part of the group, which is fine. And I'm just saying, like, I don't want to, we want to find out that like 45 of them are from out of town and 5 of them are from in. As long as that number's decent.
Yeah, I think that the numbers will be on our side, that there will be mainly Westborough with some. Right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And maybe we should let Nelson know this, that, it might be an issue going forward if they have a lot of out-of-towners on their teams. But I think it's a great idea.
Well, there's plenty of signs up there. It says Westborough residents only.
Yeah.
There's plenty of signs. So people, they're pretty aware of it when we put the signs up.
All right. So, did you want to make a motion?
Well, I don't know if we need a motion
Okay.
for this. I don't think we need a motion for this. This is the rec director's call. We're not setting a price or anything. It's just
We're gonna let them.
allowing them to, a one-time thing.
Yeah,
Right.
and we'll
Right.
follow the rental facilities like the 75%
Yep,
Westborough.
yep.
So, okay, great. So this is just something, just so you're aware of it. It doesn't really impact us too much. As part of the staffing study, which is going to be on a future agenda to go through the recommendations that came out of the staffing study for our department. The staffing study brought forth a lot of operational suggestions, and one of which is the best way to say it, like more organized accounting. So right now, when you sign up for basketball, that $100 registration fee just gets put right into our revolving account, and every program and like STEM money, I don't know, and then we buy a bench. It's all one lump sum. Technically, it will still remain a lump sum, but we're gonna kind of have line items now. So when we get basketball registrations, Stephen on a deposit slip will put basketball and it'll have a special number, so we know we took in $10,000 for basketball. Same thing when we pay out an invoice for basketball shirts, he'll pay the invoice out of a basketball number. So we'll kind of have a running tally of like, what do we spend on basketball? What do we spend on sports clinics? And Stephen actually worked with the town accounting department. So I did kind of ask him if he would talk about it more, but that's sort of the gist of it, but he can give you more of the details.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much I know compared to what Jen just said, but yeah, I can basically. So this, I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to read it, but basically that's the deposit slip. So it's just itemized for all of the different categories that we have. So I have to go through and basically split up and say, well, these are the people that registered for. So like any vendor program where our primary expense is going to be an invoice from someone. So like Best Soccer would be one. All of the outdoor adventure programs that we ran from Fin and Feather would be one. Golf at Juniper Hill would be considered a vendor program. So that would be one category. The sports clinics and stuff that we run would be a different one. Like our traditional summer playground programs would be one. And yeah, so it's basically just, I have to categorize it differently for our deposits. So when we're bringing money in, every time I'm submitting payroll, that'll have to be separated out. Every bill will have to be separated out. And then when I get the different monthly account statements from Linda and Leah downstairs, we'll be able to see kind of whether or not we're gaining a significant amount of money, whether or not we're losing it. And then, I mean, the beach one's already negative. So I guess having a better idea of where we need to make up money, where we're falling short and everything like that.
And just so people know too, we do in our office for the bigger like basketball, our summer camp, we have our own spreadsheet that we kind of know what we do know, what our expenses are, what our salaries are. But we don't, I mean, for a vendor program, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they're going to charge us $100. We charge $120. So we obviously make $20. This will just be a way for the town records to be more organized and kind of see where we're spending and help us improve on problem areas, like where we're losing money and whatnot. And it'll help us too when we kind of capital plan. Not that this isn't going to be technically, but in my mind, maybe because I've been working so much on the golf course, we'll almost sort of at the end of the year have like a free cash or our balance of what do we have left over to do. Like, hey, house school needs to get redone. We'll take 20 grand out of that. We have the money there. It'll just be more organized and easier to see what we have to spend on things. So I think it's a good change. And Leah and Linda and Stephen are working on kind of, because this started July 1 technically. So Stephen's kind of backtracking and kind of categorizing everything, but nothing is changing with our accounting. It's just it's an organizational system.
I read the study and a lot of it made sense because you can think about, like, we do this on the board that I'm on, like programs of impact, like where are you getting, which ones have the numbers and all that stuff. Do you do all of this? All kind of manually?
Sorry, say it again.
Do you do all the tracking manually?
Our MyRec system is pretty good with reports. So we pull numbers from there and then, yeah, we kind of fill in our own spreadsheets.
Okay. I still think there's like opportunity here. Maybe once Stephen gets it organized, you could have like an intern kind of look in a way to maybe make it even enhance it for you. But I have big dreams there.
I love it. All right, so that's that. Now,
I'd like to make one comment on
yes, please.
on our private vendors, the Fin and Feather. What a great addition he's been to all his programs that he brings forth, fishing and everything for the kids, and archery and kayaking and everything. Just a great. He had a lot of good help and a lot of kids participating, and it's really a lot of fun to watch the kids over at Chauncey. They have a great time, and he's a great job. Very enthusiastic and good guy, nice guy to deal with. He brings his keys.
I was going to say, as long as he can keep track of his keys.
His keys.
Yeah, no, he is great. All right, so now that Earl's here, I didn't know we could virtually vote on minutes. Usually you sign them, but since who knows when we can meet again. I did send out, it's the May and April and May minutes, so if someone wants to make a motion to approve them, or if there's any changes that need to be made,
We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
we'll have it, Steve, they're all caught up. I just didn't have a chance to send out the other ones. And so the next meeting we'll do this meeting, June and August. So for now, May and April, so if someone wants to make a motion to approve those.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from May and April 2020.
Second.
Second,
I'll second, Colleen. So,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brian came.
The ayes have it.
Awesome. All right, great. So that was the end of the agenda. I feel like we've done really good with our meetings. Is this day, like, what are we at, the second Tuesday? Or first Tuesday? First Tuesday, so if we met again November 3rd, oh, was that voting day? That's voting. We're on a streak. All right, maybe the 10th. So maybe we'll try to keep it to the beginning of the month. Does 6 o'clock work for everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do the 10th November. I'll send an email, but November 10th, and then moving forward, we'll go try to maybe the 8th. So we'll keep it kind of that first or second Tuesday of the month, 6 o'clock. And as far as I know, we have to stay virtual, even though I think there's probably spaces in town hall or across the street where we could spread out, but for now, they just want us to stay virtual. So yeah.
Hey, Jen, I have something that I'd like us as a group to think about,
Sure.
and maybe we could put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Anyone who went to town meeting recently, and we bought that piece of land on Eli Whitney Street, which I think was a wonderful addition to the town, and I don't have any problem with the town spending money on land. But we also bought the piece on Belknap Street, and we bought the 101 acres behind my house that are just walking trails. We bought the one over on behind Mill Pond School, and that's just passive recreation. Veterans Freedom Park, it's passive recreation, if any recreation. So, I mean, some of these are conservation, and you can just have walking trails, and that's it. We're starting to, it's starting to become a pattern in town that every piece of land that we purchased, it goes into immediately into conservation. And I have to say, I'm the Recreation Commission's person on the Open Space Committee. And as far as how that works is, it's a lot of that stuff that we do is not known. Like we're kind of kept in the dark. I didn't know about the Eli Whitney Street until the purchase and sale was already signed, and I'm on that committee. I don't know what the issue is, and I don't want to go to battle with anybody, but this keeps happening. And I thought as a group, we should advocate for ourselves. I've been trying to advocate for us a little bit. I did vote against, sorry, Earl, I did vote against the Belknap Street piece. I never would have voted against the Eli Whitney piece because that's just the most beautiful thing we should have. But I know eventually Eddie Lundgren's property might be one of the ones that we would look at, which is really something, and we should be able to, I mean, it's a really big hill. We should be able to do something there. And I live right down the street from there. I would never have a problem with that, with active recreation on a piece of property, or the one behind me, which is all 103 acres, are all conservation. And all the 67 acres or whatever it was over on Eli Whitney, it's all conservation. I'm all for conservation, but I think we need to have something carved out for recreation in some of these pieces that we can have it. And I was hoping we might, as a group, I've already voiced my opinion on the record with the Open Space Committee, but I would like for us to think about, and I don't even know how we would do it, but make it just come forward with a statement that we would like to be considered more when these purchases are being, I mean, even take up, something out.
Yeah, I have a question, Beth. Maybe you know the answer. I totally agree with you. And I'm involved in the master plan. And in just doing the work for the master plan, the question came to me: why is all this property earmarked immediately for open space? Do you have any why do the sellers only want to sell it unless it's going to stay open space, or do you?
Well, no, I mean, I think what happened was when I worked on the master plan a while ago, probably 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and then they had other people come in and sort of rework it. But we did identify all of the pieces of land in the town that were vacant or of interest. All of the pieces that didn't have a house on it.
Yeah.
But some of them are owned by certain people. Some of them were, most of them were owned by people, but they were of interest to the town. So that was sort of all categorized, and we did it for the rec department. We categorized all of our open space, and then every other department had to do it as well. And I was on the committee that we put all that together. And then what happened was we got to a point where all of a sudden we had to do social justice stuff that none of us had any idea what to do, how to do that. So the people that came to our rescue, honestly, because it was a thing that none of us had any idea and none of us wanted to touch. That meant a lot of talking or making up question and answers and things like that. We would have had to figure out, it would have taken an enormous amount of time and energy and expertise. So Derek at the I forget, but Derek.
Conservation, yeah.
Yes, and what a guy. I mean, he and I'm sorry, I can't remember her.
Sherry.
Yep, Sherry. They took over for us, and they helped us all along the way, but then they took it over.
Yep.
And did all of the tough stuff, all of that stuff that we had no idea what to do. And they finished it, and they keep updating it as things happen. So I love what they did, because it was honestly that master plan was a monster to do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, that I'm not on the committee now, Jen. Thank you. I'm so happy that I'm not on that. But I think
open space and rec.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the open space and rec plan. It's a huge document.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I did redo that, and I saw the list of parcels.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're all it's all pieces of land that open space is waiting for them to earmark as open space.
I think they're just open space. They're not built on. I think it's just, that's their category.
Okay.
But what's happening is the pieces of land are coming to the open space, and the committee is very weird, and I don't even know how to talk about it, but a lot of things come up that myself and maybe others are not aware of. So that piece of that Eli Whitney, I had no idea that it was, we had our eye on it for sure. We talked about it, but I had no idea that we were close to even getting that. And I think, the open space people do know how I feel, for sure. And I feel like we need to advocate for ourselves more with them. I can't do it alone. I think we have to set up like a policy or some sort of, I don't know how you even do it, but we need to come forward with maybe I'm not sure what we would do.
I agree, and I think that we should put this on a future agenda and talk about it, because when we're doing this master plan, and I'm just, and I don't know, I don't understand enough about it, and I think the people running it know a lot more than I do, and they maybe use that to, not that I'm saying I feel like I'm getting swindled here, but there's just so many parcels that seem to already be like, well, we want that for open space, and it's like all this open space and passive recreation stuff, which,
Yeah.
and like, I don't, why does it always have to be passive recreation when we can have an option?
And you know, I honestly, I don't know. And they know how I feel. I said, I put it on the record that I didn't, and I voted against the piece on Belknap because I felt it had drawbacks, and we were spending a bunch of money on it. I think that we need to have more of a stake in what's what.
Agreed.
So I don't know what we do about it.
What I'm hearing from you, Beth, is that as a committee, we want to have a better understanding. And part of that is, what is our role when it comes to the town making decisions, or when these committees are making decisions to move forward with a property? Because
Right.
from what I heard,
yeah,
once those go passive, they're impossible to change back.
Right, and I don't know if they're offering that to. Oh, they are impossible. It would never happen. But I'm wondering if they offer that to the homeowners as an incentive, and maybe maybe it gives them tax break. I have no idea, and I know I need to ask more questions now because I left the last town meeting. I went to the town meeting, and I would have been the only one to vote against it if if I did vote against it. I did not, because I love the Eli Whitney piece. I worked for a builder at one point who had a purchase and sale on it, and I thought I would be marketing it, and the piece is just beautiful. That it obviously never happened, but it just boggles my mind how we are not considered at all.
And maybe there's an opportunity to do a joint meeting with the Open Space and Rec Commission, and we can all just maybe have a big round table of like, we've got some new faces on the Rec Commission, I
think eventually, but I think what needs to happen is we need to figure out some questions.
Yeah.
And like come forward with some sort of policy, not a policy, but an advocate statement or something. I don't know what it would be called. I don't know how we could do it. Maybe Earl has some ideas, or do you have any ideas, Earl?
No, not really. I don't. It's, and that stuff is not, it's first come, first served. It's up for sale, and if the developer doesn't want to buy it, then the price drops down to where we can buy it. It's just like that property, on Eli Whitney Street, when they sold the vacant lot that was on Mountain View, which was going to be another access to that property. And the fellow that you work for, the developer you work for, I actually walked that property with him maybe 15 years ago and looked at it and everything. And there was, but they want a lot more money for it then, and then it dropped down and open space, it came so we could buy it. But when Walker Robinson puts money into something, we also can use that for recreation.
But we can't, because that's been put into conservation, except for
I understand that. Like the piece, we have a $450,000 offer on the Mill Road property.
Right.
We're going to rescind that at town meeting because he's not done anything with it. And I was hoping that would abut Veterans Freedom Park. That way, we were going to buy that with the Walker Robinson trust money
Right.
that would open the door to us for recreation, that we could do something with it. And I could enlarge, I was thinking the cross country could be enlarged through there and it would be great, you know?
Yeah.
Do some things with that. 'cause
Yeah. And we talk about that piece a lot. And I happen to know the lady, and I can't really understand what, yeah, and I can't understand why she's not responding to us or at all. But it just things happen, and they happen quickly, and there's not really a lot of
Well, we've had that offer and.
I'm not talking about that piece. I'm talking about the last one specifically.
And I wonder, is it because they have the money? So, but I was going to ask about Walk Up Robinson. I thought that can only be used for passive. So I was just wondering if it's because
No.
open space has.
No, we can use that money. We can use that money to enhance a piece that we purchase.
Yeah,
That Walk Up Robinson.
Money has bought that piece of property or part of it.
Yeah.
You could build a basketball court on it with because Walk Up Robinson money that's the only way. It's for recreation too.
Gotcha.
But you've got to buy the property with that money. You can't just go take Walk Up Robinson money into a piece of property that's already been bought.
Right.
And use it for recreation.
We bought the state hospital Walk Up Robinson money. We could use some of that money to build a community center.
Yeah. Well,
That's right.
But the state hospital wasn't purchased with Walk Up money.
Right.
That's right. Even a portion of it, even if a portion of and that's why I was shocked at town meeting when I saw it was all going to be in conservation. So,
yeah,
you know,
put it on a future agenda, and then maybe it'll give people a chance to research a little bit and kind of brainstorm some thoughts. But I agree that just being in this master plan process, the question came up to me. I'm like, why does all this get to go to open space? I understand the importance of open space and all of that, but I'm like, why is it always passive?
Well, it's not just open space. It's also the Westborough Land Trust, and it's also Sudbury Valley trustees were involved too. So it can be pretty complicated. But the Eli Whitney thing came out of the blue. I have to have a conversation with Mark. I've had conversations with him, but it sort of doesn't get me anywhere. And he's well aware of how I feel, that we need to have more say. But you know what, Earl, that didn't even occur to me when we were voting on it at town meeting. They put all that land into conservation and they use Walk Up Robinson money for it. I'm going to have to go back. The Walk Up Robinson Trust is kind of complicated. I have a copy of it because I'm on that commission, and you are too, aren't you, Earl?
Yes, I'm a trustee on that. Yeah.
Okay, so we should probably talk about that and see, can it be used for conservation only, or does it have to be for active? And I'll have to look at that law, that rule.
Well, I think that's because that's the way they vote. That's the way they voted to do it. I mean, it opens the door with Walk Up Robinson money. It opens the door that you can use it for. You can use the money, the land for recreation, or if you zoned it that way or set it that way for recreation, then you can use Walk Up Robinson money to
enhance it.
It for recreation, only if you've decided that, and the powers to be all decided not to do it that way. They want it for conservation.
Yeah, it just, I think we need to be proactive, because things happen really fast. You know, you don't think it's happening fast, but it is. So I think we need to be prepared to lobby them a little bit. Not just me. They know how I feel, and I've been vocal about it. But it needs to be more of us, I think, that need to, say, okay, we got to have some of this land, even if it's for, I don't know, kite flying or mountain biking or downhill, skiing,
An archery court, like there's a lot of things that you could
Cross-
do that are not.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
saying fields per se. I'm saying, cross-country skiing. There's a lot of things that we could do with some land if we could have active recreation on it.
Yeah, agreed. Just even having the chance to like seat at the table to be entertained.
Right.
Because that's what I was feeling with the, like all this just gets put, there's never been a, hey, recreation, where do you, what do you think? Or, you know what I mean? And it's just all
Yeah.
massive open
And I
space.
feel like that used to happen. I
Mhm.
feel like that used to happen. Didn't it, Earl? Didn't it happen more?
Huh? What?
Didn't it happen more that we were consulted as for recreation?
They used to consult us on.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't remember that much, Beth. In fact, I don't remember us being consulted much on anything, but Frank was on top of that, you know what I mean? He was right
Yeah.
there, watching what was on all the time. to
Yeah.
fight for it, but,
Okay.
never won any of the battles, lost them all, but,
Thanks. I gotta be tougher.
Well,
I'll make a motion for that.
I think we need to have more information about what's going on over there in that committee. Just
Agreed.
my opinion.
And how do we partner better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
good. Thanks.
Okay. I just want to put that out there, and maybe we could have it on a future, if people could think about it and maybe figure out how we do it and put it on the next agenda. Because I don't want to wait on it, because you don't know what's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be very different right now, and I'd just like to get it working if we can.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like we just want to be a check mark on the process of, we're going to try and purchase this land. We're going to talk to this.
I don't think they'll do that.
Recreation.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that, but I'm on the committee, so I would normally know when something. I know what parcels that are of interest, but I wasn't aware that was happening until it happened.
Beth, you've been on that committee, and most people in town know more about that than the committee members do. Because the chairman doesn't share it with the committee, I'm sorry to say, but he does. Everything's secretive.
Yes.
And
I
that
didn't
as well as I do.
I didn't want to, if you can just keep that off the agenda, keep that off the minutes, Jen, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
But it is an issue, and I have discussed it in the past with him. I haven't as of late, so I guess I need to have that discussion with him again, that we need to know it. Colleen, weren't you on that for a while? Colleen, were you up on?
No, I've never been on it.
There was someone else that was.
And those meetings are like, anyone can go to them, right? Well, in normal times, they're open meetings, right?
Yeah, they're open meetings, but no one ever comes.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one where we had the Harveys. It was we're also the 61A part, and when Harvey put their the grid panels up there, we were supposed to have a say in that, and we didn't have a say in that. But
The way that they made it seem, because I did a lot of reading about the Eli Whitney land, was that like that this has been going on forever, and it felt like it just made it seem like a lot of people know about it. I'll just put it that way.
well, I think it was always of interest, but I go to every meeting. I had no idea that it was all of a sudden there was a purchase and sale.
Okay.
I don't miss the meetings. I go to them.
Yeah.
So that's just, I think it happened
Yeah.
They knew we were interested, but I had no idea
Yeah.
that we meet quarterly.
Oh, okay.
Unless there's something that is, that we have to vote on. So,
Okay. Yeah, definitely something for the next agenda that we can all maybe kind of discuss and come up with a game plan of how to move forward. And
yeah,
I'll do some research too and try to see what I can dig up as well.
okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for staying a little bit later.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, this has been bugging me a lot. And I wanted to talk to you all about it before I talk to Mark.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Done. All right. All right. So see everyone in a month.
See you
All right.
then.
Thank
Bye.
Good night,
you.
everybody. Good night.
Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Bye.